One of the strengths of the US military is its diversity amongst its troops. The uniform brings together people from all walks of life and from every corner of the country. Throughout US history, Hispanic Americans are one of the many demographics who have served this nation with pride and courage. On today's countdown, we're looking at 10 Hispanic American military heroes. This is by no means an exhaustive list, so make sure to let us know who else deserves to be recognized in the comments. Number 10. Marcelino Serna. Private Marcelino Serna was a Mexican who entered the United States in 1916 to look for a job and a better way of life. 1 year later, he was apprehended by federal agents for being in the country illegally. In order to avoid deportation, Serna volunteered to join the army. Following his basic training, he was shipped off to France to fight in World War I. While there, Serna fought with valor and was presented the Distinguished Service Cross by General John Pershing, as well as 2 French Croix de Guerre by Field Marshal Ferdinand Foch, the Supreme Allied Commander. Serna returned from the war as one of the most decorated soldiers in Texas history. He passed away in 1992 at the age of 95. Number 9. Joe Martinez. Private Joseph Martinez was the first Hispanic American to receive the Medal of Honor during World War II. It was also the first Medal of Honor to be bestowed for combat heroism on American soil since 1898. Martinez and his unit were deployed to Alaska's Aleutian Islands, which were invaded by the Japanese in June 1942. The snowy, mountainous terrain made fighting extremely difficult. At one particular deadly checkpoint, Martinez charged forward and cleared multiple enemy foxholes until he reached a cliff that overlooked a Japanese trench. Although exposed to the enemy, Martinez emptied magazine after magazine into the enemy forces until a single bullet struck him in the head. Martinez would unfortunately succumb to his wounds on that mountain, but his actions forced the enemy to retreat from their position and would mark a turning point in the United States campaign to reclaim the islands. Number 8. Carmen Contreras-Bozak. Technician 4th grade Contreras-Bozak was one of the first women to serve in World War II as part of the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. She was also the first Hispanic woman to serve in this critical support role. She was deployed to Algeria as part of General Eisenhower's headquarters. There, she performed a variety of jobs such as cryptology, communications, and interpretation. Her service didn't end after the war, however. While living in Florida, Contreras-Bozak would start a women's veterans organization, as well as a chapter of the Society of Military Widows. She passed away in 2017 at the age of 97 and is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Number 7. Angel Mendez. Sergeant Angel Mendez was a Puerto Rican native who served in the Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. On March 16, 1967, half of Mendez's platoon was pinned down by enemy fire while conducting a search and destroy mission. Mendez volunteered to lead a squad forward to assist. During the mission, Mendez's platoon leader was severely injured by enemy fire. Using his own body as a shield, Mendez applied first aid before picking up his lieutenant and carrying him back to friendly lines more than 75 meters away. Mendez was shot by the enemy during this maneuver. 2 of his fellow Marines attempted to help him and their commander, but Mendez refused to let go of his wounded comrade and continued to use his own body as a shield until he was mortally wounded by enemy fire. For his actions in saving his commander's life, Mendez was awarded the Navy Cross and posthumously promoted to the rank of sergeant. Number 6. Richard Edward Cavazos. General Richard Edward Cavazos made history as the first Hispanic soldier to achieve the rank of brigadier general. He then made history again as the first Mexican American to pin 4 stars on his uniform. But Cavazos' career cannot be summed up only by his ascension in rank. The 33-year Army veteran was also awarded not 1, but 2 Distinguished Service Crosses, a Silver Star, 2 Legions of Merit, 5 Bronze Star Medals, the Purple Heart, and many other recognitions. Cavazos retired from the Army in 1985 and passed away in 2017 from complications with Alzheimer's. In 2022, the Naming Commission recommended that Fort Hood be renamed Fort Cavazos in honor of the general's meritorious service. Number 5. Cleto Rodriguez. Private Cleto Rodriguez was a Mexican American who served in both the U.S. Army and Air Force. While deployed to the Philippines during World War II, Rodriguez earned the Medal of Honor for heroics that allowed his unit to successfully advance on a heavily fortified enemy position. As the unit was pinned down by enemy fire, Rodriguez and Private First Class John Reese Jr. advanced on the enemy position. After 2.5 hours of fighting, Rodriguez and Reese killed more than 80 enemy combatants and disorganized the enemy defense well enough for his unit to achieve victory. Following his service, Rodriguez worked for the VA, where he helped his fellow Hispanic veterans understand and use their education benefits and skills training. Number 4. Eduardo Peniche. Eduardo Peniche was born in Mexico and moved to the United States when he was 17 to go to school. Although he wasn't an American citizen, he was ordered to sign up for the draft and subsequently enlisted in the U.S. Army as field artillery. Over the course of World War II, Peniche participated in several key battles. These included Operation Market Garden and the Battle of the Bulge. During the latter, Peniche's crew disabled multiple German panzer tanks before their gun was destroyed. The shrapnel from the destroyed cannons severely injured Peniche and his crew. Going against orders to retreat to his foxhole, Peniche crawled back to the command post to alert the medics and then guided them back to his wounded soldiers. He ended up spending 2 months in the hospital, but then rejoined his outfit, serving until the end of the war in 1945. Number 3. Marc Sasseville. At the time of this recording, Lieutenant General Marc Sasseville is serving as the 12th Vice Chief of the National Guard Bureau. He was the first Hispanic American to serve as the commander of the 113th Air Wing in the Washington, D.C. Air National Guard. But one of his most memorable moments in his military career occurred on September 11, 2001. After hijacked planes collided with the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon, Sasseville and 3 other pilots volunteered to take to the skies and take down United Airlines Flight 93, the last hijacked plane, by any means possible. Due to the rapid deployment, the F-16 fighter jets Sasseville and the others took off in were without missiles or bullets. This meant there was only one way to bring the plane down: by ramming it in what would essentially be a suicide mission. Due to the bravery of the passengers on Flight 93, Sasseville and the other pilots didn't need to resort to such extreme measures, as they overpowered the terrorists and brought down the plane in a field outside Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Number 2. Leroy Petry. Master Sergeant Leroy Petry enlisted in the U.S. Army right out of high school. Following his graduation from the U.S. Army Ranger School, he was assigned to 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. On May 26, 2008, during his 7th deployment to the Middle East, Petry and his unit were on a mission to capture a high-value Taliban target. During the operation, Petry was injured after getting shot in the legs. While he and his fellow soldiers were in cover, an enemy threw a grenade which landed only a few feet from the soldiers. Despite knowing the risks, Petry grabbed the grenade and attempted to throw it back, but it detonated. The explosion amputated his right hand, but his actions likely saved the lives of the other soldiers and earned him the Medal of Honor. Despite his injury, Petry returned to service and retired in 2014. Number 1. Humbert Roque Versace. Army Captain Versace was a Puerto Rican Italian American who served in Vietnam. Less than 2 weeks before he was scheduled to go home from his deployment, his command post was overrun by Viet Cong and he was taken prisoner. The captain attempted multiple escapes and continuously insulted his captors in multiple languages during his indoctrination sessions. This forced his isolation from the rest of the prisoners. The last time anyone heard from Versace, he was singing "God Bless America" at the top of his lungs. Unfortunately, Captain Versace's remains were never recovered. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor by President George W. Bush in 2002. He is the only U.S. service member to earn the Medal of Honor for his actions as a prisoner of war. And those are our 10 Hispanic American military heroes. There isn't enough time in one video to cover all the incredible people who deserve to be here, so make sure to let us know in the comments who else should be recognized. If you like this video, do us a favor and tap that subscribe button, and check out these other videos we think you might like on the screen now.